The floodwater was already spilling across the cemetery road when Mom aimed the camera at me and said, "Start again, and this time, sound grateful." 4 days after we buried Grandma Ruth, she had dragged me back to the grave to record a testimonial for her nonprofit's biggest fundraiser. The script in my hands read, "My birth mother abandoned me. My mom chose to save me." But Grandma's final words still haunted me. She never stopped calling. "I'm not saying this until you tell me who Grandma meant," I said. Mom's face hardened. She reached for Grandma's Bible beneath my arm. "Give me that." I stepped back. "Why are you so afraid of this book?" She snatched the camera, climbed into her SUV, and locked the doors before I could reach them. "You're asking me to lie!" I shouted through the rain. Mom lowered the window just enough for me to hear her. "If that's what you insist on calling it, fine. Come home when you're ready to lie." She drove away. Within minutes, muddy water covered my ankles. I climbed toward the cemetery's stone chapel and called 911 with 1 bar of signal. As I waited, Grandma's soaked Bible slipped from my hands. The lining inside its back cover peeled away. Beneath it was a phone number. And 6 words. "Ask her why she never stopped writing." I dialed. A woman answered on the 3rd ring. When I told her where I had found the number, she stopped breathing. "Ruth left it for you." "Yes. Who are you?" Her voice broke. "Nora, I've waited 22 years for this call." Then she said the words that erased everything I knew about my family. "My name is Elise. Dana is my sister, and I'm your mother." For several seconds, I couldn't hear anything except rain striking the chapel roof. It sounded like thousands of fingernails scratching against stone. My fingers tightened around the phone. "Dana doesn't have a sister." The woman inhaled slowly. "Yes, she does." "No. My mother was an only child." "That's what she told you." The answer came too quickly, too calmly. I looked down at Grandma's Bible. Mud had seeped along the edges of the pages, turning them gray. The handwriting beneath the loosened lining was unmistakably hers. The capital A in Ask leaned forward the same way it did on every birthday card she had ever given me. But handwriting could prove Grandma had hidden the number. It couldn't prove the woman on the other end was telling the truth. "What hospital was I born in?" I asked. "St. Catherine's." My throat tightened. "What time?" 2:17 in the morning. You were 6 pounds, 11 ounces. You didn't cry right away, and I thought..." Her voice stopped. I stared through the chapel doorway at the water crawling between the headstones. "What did I have on my shoulder?" "A birthmark," she said. 3 little brown marks close together. Ruth said they looked like Orion's belt. I reached beneath my wet collar and touched the marks without thinking. Dana had always called them freckles. The woman continued. "You don't have to believe me tonight. You shouldn't believe anyone just because they know how to sound certain." That sentence frightened me more than if she had begged me to call her mom. Dana had spent my entire life teaching me that doubt was a form of betrayal. "Where are you?" the woman asked. "Fairmont Cemetery." "Are you inside a building?" "The chapel." I called 911. "Good, stay there. I don't need you to tell me what to do." "You're right," she said immediately. "I'm sorry." Another silence settled between us. I had never heard an apology arrive without a defense attached to it. "How did Grandma get your number?" I asked. "I don't know exactly. She called me 6 weeks ago from a number I didn't recognize. She asked whether I still lived in Bellwether County and whether this phone number would stay active." "What did you say?" "I told her I'd kept the same number for 19 years because I was afraid you might use it someday." A coldness moved through me that had nothing to do with my wet clothes. Dana had told me my biological mother had vanished before my first birthday. Depending on which fundraising speech she was giving, the woman had either chosen drugs, a man, or the freedom of having no responsibilities. The details changed. The conclusion never did. She hadn't wanted me. "What's my middle name?" I asked. "Ruth." My breath caught. Dana had told me she named me after Grandma because Grandma helped her through the adoption. The woman's voice softened. "I asked for that name before you were born." A flash of headlights swept across the stained glass windows. I pushed myself upright and moved toward the chapel entrance. "Someone's coming." "Rescue workers." I don't know yet. Don't step into the water to check. I know. I'm sorry. Of course you know. The headlights stopped near the higher path. Red emergency lights began pulsing through the trees. The woman said, "My name is Elise Bennett. I live outside Marlow, a little less than 2 hours from you when the roads are clear. I have letters, hospital records, pictures, things Dana told me you never wanted to see." My hand closed around the wooden door frame. "What did Dana tell you about me?" Elise didn't answer immediately. That conversation shouldn't happen while you're cold and waiting for rescue. For the first time, I heard fear in her voice, not fear of being exposed, but fear of saying too much and losing the call. "Send me one thing," I said. "What?" "Proof that you've been writing." "I can do that. I'm not promising anything else." "I know. And don't drive here. The roads are closed." "I won't." The answer came reluctantly, but it came. A flashlight beam cut across the chapel doorway. "Ma'am?" a man called from outside. "Fairmont County Rescue. Are you Nora Bennett?" "Yes." I ended the call before Elise could say anything more. 2 rescue workers crossed the upper path toward me. Water swirled below their knees, but they stayed close to the iron fence where the ground rose. One of them held out a hand. I tucked my phone inside my shirt, wrapped Grandma's Bible in the driest part of my jacket, and stepped toward them. "Did your vehicle stall?" the woman asked. "No." "Who brought you here?" "My mother." "Where is she now?" I looked toward the flooded road where Dana's SUV had disappeared. "She left." The rescue worker paused. "She knew the road was flooding?" My phone gave us 2 warnings before she drove away. I expected myself to soften the answer. I had done it all my life. Dana hadn't screamed, she had been under pressure. Dana hadn't used me, she had given me opportunities. Dana hadn't humiliated me, she had needed donors to understand the mission. But the water was above my calves. Grandma's Bible was bleeding blue dye into my jacket. And Dana had not called once to ask whether I was alive. "Yes," I said. She knew. The worker wrote it down. They guided me toward a rescue vehicle parked on the higher service road. I climbed into the back and sat beneath a silver emergency blanket while one of them checked my temperature and the scrape on my palm. My phone vibrated. For one reckless second, I thought it might be Dana. It was a notification from Safe Harbor Families. A new video had been posted to the organization's social media account. Dana's face filled the screen, dry and perfectly lit inside her office. "Grief can make people reject the ones who love them most," she said. "Tonight, please keep our family in your thoughts." The video was only 23 seconds long. It had been posted at 4:05. I had called 911 at 4:11. Dana had prepared the public version of my breakdown before I had even reached the chapel. I saved the video to my phone. Then I took a screenshot of the posting time. "Nora?" I looked up. The rescue worker was holding out a clipboard. "I need a contact number for someone who can pick you up after we get you checked." I almost gave her Dana's. The number lived in my memory more deeply than my own. It was the number I had called after my first school play, when Dana left before the curtain call because a donor wanted dinner. It was the number I had called from college, when she told me film school was a selfish expense, but Safe Harbor could teach me everything I needed to know. It was the number I had called every time I mistook being needed for being loved. "I don't have one yet," I said. The rescue worker nodded without judgment. "We'll figure something out." My phone rang, before she finished the sentence. "Paige." I answered because she was 19, because she was my little sister, and because some habits took more than floodwater to wash away. "Oh my God, Nora," she said. "Where are you?" "In a rescue vehicle." "So you're safe?" "I'm cold, but yes." She let out a breath. In the background, I heard a door close. Then her voice changed. "Mom said you refused to get in the car." I stared at the wet floor beneath my shoes. "She drove away while I was standing beside Grandma's grave. She said you threw a fit and chose to stay. The road was already flooding. She was upset. So was I." "You know what I mean." Paige lowered her voice. "The gala is in 4 days. The national campaign could fund 3 new family centers. Mom said you accused her of lying on camera. She was asking me to say my biological mother never contacted me." She didn't. How do you know? Because Mom told us. The answer landed between us. Not because Paige had seen a record. Not because she had heard from the woman herself. Because Dana had spoken, and in our house, Dana's version became family history. Did you know she had a sister named Elise? I asked. Paige went silent. Paige? No. I just spoke to her. To who? Elise. She says she's my biological mother. That's impossible. She knew where I was born. She knew my birth weight. She knew about the marks on my shoulder. Mom will explain. Did you hear me? Yes. But Nora, there are crazy people who research families online. She knew Grandma's private nickname for my birthmark. Paige breathed into the phone. For a moment, I thought she might ask whether I was all right. Instead, she said, "Please don't do anything before talking to Mom. You owe her that much." There it was. The debt that never reached zero. When I was 10, Dana had put me on stage at a donor luncheon and asked me to describe the day I learned my real mother didn't want me. I had cried under the lights while 200 people watched. Afterward, Paige had been waiting backstage with chocolate cake. I asked Dana whether I could have some. She told me not until the photographers finished. By the time they did, the cake was gone. Paige had fallen asleep beneath a table with frosting on her sleeve. Dana kissed her forehead and whispered, "Let her rest. She's had a long day." I had been the one on stage for 3 hours. Paige had been 8. I hadn't blamed her then, and I didn't blame her now. Dana had raised us in different cages. Mine had a spotlight. Paige's had velvet on the bars. "I'm not calling Mom tonight," I said. "She says you can come home." Did she ask if I was hurt? Paige didn't answer. Did she ask whether the rescue team found me? Another silence. Finally, Paige said, "She wants Grandma's Bible back." I closed my eyes. Of course she does. "Nora, please, just come home and figure this out privately. I'll call you tomorrow." Mom said. I heard what Mom said. I ended the call. My hands were shaking, but I didn't call back. At the county clinic, a nurse cleaned the scrape on my palm, gave me dry socks, and said I was lucky I had moved uphill when I did. The lower road disappeared under nearly 3 feet of water before the rescue vehicle left the cemetery. Dana still hadn't called. At 6:18, she left a voicemail. "Nora, your behavior today was cruel and irrational. I understand you're grieving, so I'm willing to overlook it. Bring Ruth's Bible home, sign the updated release, and record the statement tomorrow. If you do those 3 things, we can put this behind us." There was a pause. "You need to remember who saved you." The message ended. No question about the flood. No question about the clinic. No question about the blood on my hand. I saved the voicemail beside the social media video and the photograph I had taken of Grandma's hidden message. I created a new folder on my phone. I named it Ruth. The nurse helped me find a motel near the clinic. The room cost $119 plus tax. I had $1,842 in savings, most of it from editing small wedding videos on weekends without telling Dana. Safe Harbor paid me, but my salary disappeared quickly into the family expenses. Dana said adults living at home should contribute. The motel room smelled like bleach and old air conditioning. I laid Grandma's Bible open beneath the desk lamp and placed paper towels between the wet pages. As I worked, my employee email refreshed. Every appointment on my schedule for the next day vanished. Then the Safe Harbor editing dashboard logged me out. I sat on the edge of the bed, wearing donated clinic scrubs and 1 pair of dry socks, and watched the login screen ask me for credentials that no longer worked. Dana had taken away my home. Now she was reaching for my job. My thumb hovered over her number. I could still fix it. I knew exactly what she wanted: an apology, the Bible, my signature, and the same story I had been telling since I was old enough to memorize it. For most of my life, surrender had felt like peace, because the fighting stopped immediately afterward. I lowered the phone. A message arrived from the number hidden in the Bible. "This is Elise. I won't call again tonight unless you ask me to. I'm sending 1 photograph. If you want to meet tomorrow, choose the place. If you don't, I will respect that." The photograph loaded slowly. It showed a faded envelope addressed to Nora Bennett. care of the Safe Harbor family's headquarters. The return address belonged to Elise Bennett. A postal stamp in the corner was dated 11 years earlier. Across the front, someone had written, "Return to sender. Recipient refused." My chest tightened. I turned to Grandma's Bible and searched the handwritten numbers in the margins. Beside Psalm 27, Grandma had written the same month and day as the postal stamp. I enlarged the photograph. There was another line on the back of the envelope, written in blue ink. The handwriting wasn't Grandma's. It was Dana's. Dana Bennett refused delivery. The handwriting was Dana's. Even enlarged on my phone, there was no mistaking the narrow capital letters or the way she pressed hard enough to leave grooves in the paper. I had seen that same handwriting on school permission slips, birthday cards, editing notes, and hundreds of revisions marked across scripts for Safe Harbor. Dana Bennett refused delivery. The envelope had been addressed to me. Not to Dana. Not to the organization. To May. My fingers moved before fear could talk me out of it. Bluebird Diner. 9 tomorrow morning. Back booth near the emergency exit. Bring identification and the original letters. Come alone. Elise answered within a minute. I'll be there. Thank you for giving me one conversation. Setting the phone face down, I returned to Grandma's Bible. Several handwritten dates appeared beside passages she had underlined, but only one matched the postal stamp on the envelope Elise had photographed. For years, I had assumed they marked church services, doctor appointments, or days when a verse meant something special to her. Now one of those dates was attached to a letter Dana had refused to accept. Sleep came in fragments. Every time the air conditioner clicked off, Dana's voicemail seemed to fill the room again. Bring Ruth's Bible home. Sign the updated release. Record the statement. Not "Are you safe?" Not "Where are you?" The Bible, my signature, and the story. Those were the three things she wanted back. By 8:30 the next morning, Grandma's Bible was wrapped in a motel towel inside my shoulder bag. The original hidden message had dried into a faint blue blur, but the photograph on my phone preserved every word. Bluebird Diner sat between a pharmacy and a laundromat on the edge of town. I arrived 20 minutes early, chose the last booth, and ordered coffee. I had no intention of drinking. At exactly 9, a woman entered carrying a weathered leather folder against her chest. She was shorter than Dana, with dark hair threaded by gray near her temples. A thin scar ran from beneath her left ear toward her collarbone. She scanned the room, found me, and stopped. Neither of us moved for several seconds. Then she approached slowly. Nora? Yes. Her gaze dropped to my shoulder bag before returning to my face. May I sit? I pointed to the opposite side of the booth. Elise slid into the seat without reaching for me. That helped. The leather folder stayed closed between her hands. Identification first, I said. Of course. Her driver's license read Elise Marie Bennett. The address matched the return address on the newest envelope in the photograph. Next came a certified copy of her hospital discharge record and a faded employee badge from a rehabilitation center dated the year I was born. Nothing made her my mother yet. It only made her a real person with Dana's last name. Tell me what happened after I was born, I said. Elise folded her hands on the table. My heart weakened during the last weeks of pregnancy. After the delivery, it became worse. I could barely cross a room without losing my breath. The doctors expected me to need treatment and supervised recovery for several months. She opened the folder and placed a document inside a clear sleeve in front of me. The heading identified it as Temporary Kinship Care Authorization. Dana's name appeared beneath mine. The duration was written plainly. 90 days. You signed this? I asked. Yes. I believed your aunt would care for you while I recovered. Dana was 27. She already had a house and a job. And I had medical debt, no reliable income, and a rented room with stairs I couldn't climb. Elise did not look away. I wasn't prepared to raise you safely at that moment. The admission sounded nothing like the speeches Dana had given about her. There was no demand that I erase Elise's failures because Dana had lied. What happened after the 90 days? Dana told me you had become sick after visits and that moving you again would be harmful. Then she changed her phone number. When I went to the apartment she had been renting, the manager said she'd moved. You could have gone to court. I tried. A second document slid across the table. It was a notice for a review hearing, mailed to an address Elise had left while hospitalized. The notice went to my old room. By the time someone forwarded it, the hearing had already happened. Dana told the court I had stopped treatment and made no effort to contact you. Had you stopped treatment? For 6 weeks. The answer tightened something inside me. Why? My insurance lapsed. I also started drinking more than I should have. Elise kept her eyes on the tabletop. Not every accusation Dana made was invented. I was sick, frightened, and sometimes unreliable. But I never stopped wanting you. A waitress approached with a pot of coffee. Neither of us spoke until she walked away. Dana had built her story out of facts stripped of context. Elise had struggled. She had missed a hearing. She had stopped treatment for several weeks. Those truths made the larger lie easier to sell. Where are the letters? I asked. Elise opened the folder fully. More than 20 envelopes were arranged by date. Some were yellowed at the edges. Others looked almost new. Everyone carried my name. The oldest had been sent to Dana's former home. Later letters went to a post office box, then to Safe Harbor's first office, and eventually to its current headquarters. Several bore the same postal stamp. Return to sender. One envelope had been slit open along the top and sealed again with clear tape before it was returned. Who opened this? I asked. I don't know. It arrived back that way. Turning it beneath the diner light, I saw a shallow crease across the flap. Dana opened letters with a silver blade she kept in the top drawer of her desk. It left the same unnaturally straight line. That observation was not proof, but it was enough to stop me from dismissing the possibility. How many did Grandma know about? I thought she knew about all of them. Later, I realized Dana had been telling each of us something different. What did Grandma tell you? That you were settled, that contacting you would confuse you. She believed Dana when Dana said you became frightened whenever anyone mentioned your birth mother. A dull ache formed behind my ribs. Grandma had never raised her voice at me. She had taught me to sew buttons and make biscuits without measuring cups. When Dana turned my birthdays into donor events, Grandma was the person who saved me a piece of cake. Yet she had helped keep Elise away. Elise took out a copy of a signed statement. Grandma's name appeared at the bottom. The document said Elise lacked the stability to care for me and had shown no consistent interest in maintaining contact. How could she sign this? She thought she was protecting you. That doesn't answer the question. No. Elise's voice dropped. It doesn't. Anger rose so quickly that I had to put both palms beneath the table. The easiest version would have made Grandma a secret hero who fought Dana for years. Instead, she had chosen what looked safe. Then, after discovering that Dana had hidden the letters, she had left me a number beneath the lining of a Bible. Too frightened to tell me while she lived. Brave enough only after she was gone. Elise reached toward the folder, then stopped before touching it. There's something else. She showed me the final letter. It had been mailed 4 years earlier, shortly after my 18th birthday. The address belonged to Safe Harbor's headquarters. On the first page, visible through the opened envelope, Elise had written, Nora is an adult now. Please give her the choice. Dana's blue handwriting covered the back. No longer at this address. I had been working in that building 5 days a week. Why didn't you come there? I asked. I did. Once. My eyes lifted. The receptionist called upstairs. A woman came down and said Nora Bennett had asked staff not to allow contact from me. Who was the woman? She introduced herself as Dana's assistant. Nothing about that visit could be verified from Elise's words alone. Do you know her name? No. She wore a Safe Harbor badge, but it was turned backward. The story might have been true. It might also have been something Elise had misunderstood or reshaped over time. Rather than choose, I wrote the detail in a notes app. You said you kept 22 letters. One for each birthday. Why send them through Dana after they kept coming back? Because every year, there was still a chance someone else would sort the mail. The waitress set down our food. Neither of us touched it. Elise studied my face. You look like you're trying to decide which one of us deserves to be hated. I'm deciding what can be proven. A faint movement crossed her mouth, not quite a smile. That sounds like Ruth. Don't use Grandma to make me trust you. You're right. I'm sorry. That was the second apology she had given, without demanding one in return. It still did not make us mother and daughter. You're not getting 22 years back in one morning, I said. I know. And you don't get to call me your daughter in public. All right. No photographs, no posts, no reunion story. All right. The answer came without bargaining. Elise pushed the original letters toward me. Keep these. No. I'll photograph them, but the originals stay with you until I know what they are. A flicker of disappointment crossed her face, but she returned the envelopes to their sleeves. Before leaving, she asked, "What are you going to do?" "Find out what Grandma was recording." Elise glanced at the Bible inside my bag. "I could come with you." "No." "To Dana's?" "Especially not to Dana's." The last thing I needed was a confrontation Dana could frame as two unstable women attacking her. "Go home," I said. "Scan every envelope, front and back. Don't crop anything. Send the files in the order they were mailed." Elise nodded. "What about the hospital records?" "Those too." For the first time since entering the diner, a decision felt stronger than confusion. Dana had spent years arranging pieces of my life into whatever order served her best. I was going to put them back by date. At the motel, Grandma's Bible covered most of the small desk. I made a list of every handwritten date in the margins, then compared them with the scans Elise sent. The first match belonged to the letter Dana had refused 11 years earlier. The second matched a returned birthday card. The third matched the month Dana moved us across town, without telling Grandma the new address for several weeks. Beside one date, Grandma had written only, "D said no call." That day appeared in Safe Harbor's public archive as the date Dana recorded the organization's first major fundraising video about me. I remembered the dress, pale yellow, with sleeves that scratched my arms. Dana had asked me to say, "I used to wait at the window for a mother who never came." The camera operator made me repeat the sentence 4 times because I kept looking at Dana instead of the lens. At the time, I thought Grandma's marks were references to verses. They were a record. Near the back of the Bible, one line had been pressed so hard the pen tore the paper. She didn't stop. I stopped believing her. My eyes burned, but grief refused to settle into anything simple. Grandma had learned the truth. She had also waited until death to hand it to me. One date remained unmatched. It belonged to the afternoon I had filmed Grandma's interview for the Safe Harbor documentary. The raw project would be stored on the organization's server. Accessing it meant going back. Safe Harbor occupied 2 floors of a renovated bank building. Photographs of Dana covered the lobby walls beside quotes about courage, sacrifice, and chosen motherhood. My childhood face appeared almost as often as hers. The receptionist glanced up when I entered. "Dana is expecting you." That sentence told me this would not be a private conversation, no matter what Dana claimed. Her office door stood open. Paige sat in one of the guest chairs, holding a paper cup from Dana's favorite coffee shop. Dana had arranged 3 objects across her desk: my house key, my employee badge, the updated image release. "Sit down," she said. Remaining on my feet, I placed my bag against my hip, so the Bible stayed out of reach. Dana folded her hands. "You've had time to calm down. I met Elise this morning." Paige's cup stopped halfway to her mouth. Dana's expression barely changed. "Then you understand why I warned you." She showed me the letters. A stack of envelopes proves she knows how to buy stamps. Some were opened before they were returned. That has nothing to do with me. One was addressed to me, at this office 4 years ago. Dana leaned back. "Mail is mishandled all the time. It had your handwriting on it." Paige looked toward her. Dana picked up my house key. "Here is what happens next. You give me Ruth's Bible. You end contact with Elise until a qualified counselor can assess the situation. Then you sign the release and record the statement we agreed on." "I never agreed to that statement. You have told the same story publicly for years." "I told the story you gave me." Her eyes narrowed. The building around us remained busy. Phones rang beyond the glass wall. A printer started in the next room. Dana could not shout without exposing herself, and we both knew it. She touched the image release. "The national campaign includes new interviews. Because you are now an adult, the distributor needs an updated signature. It is routine. If it's routine, why is my house key part of the negotiation? Paige set down her coffee. Nora, stop making everything sound ugly. Dana slid the key closer to the release. Adults live with adult consequences, she said. You work here. You live in my home. Your public behavior affects this organization. My public behavior was getting rescued after you left me beside a flooded road. You chose not to get in the car. You locked the doors. Dana's jaw tightened. Paige looked between us. Mom was upset. You were accusing her of lying while Grandma had barely been buried. Did she tell you Elise is her sister? Paige lowered her gaze. Dana answered for her. Biology does not create a meaningful relationship. Neither does hiding letters. I protected you from a woman who was in no condition to raise a child. Maybe. But protection would have meant telling me the truth when I became old enough to decide. Dana pushed the employee badge beside the key. You have 3 choices sitting in front of you. Make the responsible one. 3 choices. Except they were all the same choice. Obey her and keep my home. Obey her and keep my job. Obey her and remain the grateful child on every poster. Reaching across the desk, I picked up neither the key nor the badge. My fingers closed around the portable drive beside Dana's keyboard. That belongs to Safe Harbor, she said. The casing does. The drive inside is mine. I bought it after your system corrupted the Christmas campaign. Dana knew that was true. The receipt was still in my email. Taking organizational data would be theft. There's no organizational data on it. You made me erase it after every transfer. You signed the equipment log. Her gaze sharpened. For years, following every instruction had made me easier to control. Now the records of those instructions protected me. The drive went into my bag. I'm not signing, I said. Dana turned to her computer. Then you are on administrative leave, effective immediately. A notification reached my phone before she finished speaking. My employee account had been disabled. Paige stared at the 3 objects still on the desk. Dana expected me to cry, bargain, or reach for the key. Instead, I picked up my bag. The next time you contact me, I said, do it in writing. Outside, my phone displayed one final system message before the employee application closed. One project remains available offline. Back at the motel, the editing software opened without connecting to Safe Harbor's server. A cached project appeared beneath Grandma's name. Before touching it, I called Maya Ortiz, the archive manager who had trained me. My account was disabled, I said. I'm not asking you to restore it. I need to know whether an offline preview created during an assigned shift remains unchanged after access is removed. Maya paused. If it fully synchronized beforehand, yes. Don't reconnect the folder, rename the source files, or export over the original. Can the server delete it remotely? Not if the device is offline. Thank you. Nora, what happened? I'm still determining that. No accusation. No request that Maya choose sides. After ending the call, I disconnected the laptop from the motel's wireless network and opened the project information. The interview had been cached on the afternoon I filmed Grandma, using the personal laptop Dana required me to use when the office systems were overloaded. A list of related media appeared along the side. Several names carried labels I had never noticed before. Lena Brooks' retired story. 2 more had been marked. Do not feature. Questions crowded forward, but chasing them now would scatter my attention. Grandma's interview came first. The public version lasted 12 minutes. The cached file lasted 16 minutes and 12 seconds. My hand hovered over the space bar. Then I pressed play. Grandma sat in the blue chair from Safe Harbor's interview room. The first 12 minutes were familiar. She praised Dana's strength and described me as a frightened baby who finally relaxed in Dana's arms. The official video faded to black. The cached file continued. Grandma lowered her hands. You told me Elise stopped writing. Dana's voice came from behind the camera. She did stop being consistent. These letters were in your desk. A chair scraped across the floor. You went through my things? Dana asked. I was looking for Nora's school records. You had no right. Nora does. The room in the video went quiet. Dana spoke again, closer to the microphone. Nora has stability. She has an education, a career, and a future. Donors understand a clear story. Elise brings confusion. Grandma's voice weakened. And if Nora ever talks to her? Dana answered without hesitation. If Elise gets one conversation with Nora, everything I built becomes a lie. The video continued for several seconds, capturing only the hum of the lights. Rather than replay the sentence, I opened the file information. Creation date. Caméra identifiée. Time code. Original project path. Each detail went into my notes before emotion could blur what mattered. Dana had known Elise was alive. She had known about the letters. Most importantly, she had known one conversation could expose the story beneath Safe Harbor's success. A notification flashed across the disabled employee application. The message had been generated automatically before my account lost its final connection. Project deletion requested by Dana Bennett. Raw interview files scheduled for permanent removal. Dana wasn't waiting for me to decide what I believed. She had already started erasing what I could prove. The deletion notice remained on my screen. Dana had requested the permanent removal of Grandma's raw interview, but the copy on my laptop had been created before my account was disabled. As long as the machine remained disconnected, her command could not reach it. The first impulse was to upload the video somewhere public. Once thousands of people had seen it, Dana could never erase it. Her sponsors would hear her voice. Her board would watch Grandma confront her. Everyone who had applauded the story of the heroic woman who saved an unwanted child would finally see what had been cut away. That impulse lasted less than a minute. Posting the file would let Dana call me reckless. She could accuse me of stealing confidential material, editing the conversation, or exposing private records because I was angry about being sent away from home. The truth would become another argument. Instead, the laptop stayed offline. A new flash drive from the pharmacy went into the side port. The original project folder, its creation information, and the unedited preview were copied without renaming anything. A second copy went onto the personal drive I had retrieved from Safe Harbor. Next came photographs of every information screen: the file name, creation date, running time, camera identifier, and original storage path. The software generated a digital fingerprint for the file, a long string of letters and numbers that would change if even one frame were altered. I saved that fingerprint with both copies. One drive stayed inside my bag. The other went into a sealed envelope in the motel's front desk safe. Only after both copies were protected did the laptop reconnect to the internet. An email went to Celia Grant, the chair of Safe Harbor's board. I am requesting an immediate preservation hold on all raw footage, project histories, access records, and internal communications connected to Ruth Bennett's interview and the current national campaign. I have received an automated notice showing that Dana Bennett requested deletion of the raw interview after I raised concerns about its contents. Please confirm receipt. No accusation about adoption followed. No mention of Elise being my mother. The message focused on records Dana controlled through her position. Celia opened it 9 minutes later. The email system sent a second notification almost immediately. Dana had been copied on the preservation request. My phone rang before I could close the laptop. Her private number filled the screen. Letting it ring would have been easier. Answering gave her another chance to twist my words. Yet refusing every conversation would also let her claim she had tried to resolve matters while I hid behind accusations. The recording function stayed untouched. Secretly recording a call could create a new argument about consent. Instead, a notebook opened beside the laptop, and the time went at the top of the page. Hello, Nora. Dana's tone carried the same measured patience she used with difficult donors. You sent Celia a serious request. Yes, you are in possession of organizational media after your access was revoked. The project synchronized while I was assigned to it. The local copy existed before you placed me on leave. That does not make it yours. It also doesn't explain why you requested its deletion. A brief pause followed. The documentary is being reorganized. Redundant footage is deleted every day. After the editor asks about hidden letters, You are connecting unrelated events because Elise has filled your head with suspicion. The notebook captured each answer as closely as I could write it. Dana lowered her voice. Come home. We can still contain this. Contain what? The damage. To the organization? Or to me? Those are not separate things. Your identity is tied to Safe Harbor whether you like it or not. That was the closest she had ever come to admitting it. You can return to work tomorrow, she continued. I'll give you co-producer credit on the documentary. We'll tell the board grief affected your judgment, and no one will hold this against you. What do I have to sign? The updated release. And the statement? The statement does not diagnose you. My pen stopped. No statement had been mentioned during the call. What statement? I asked. Another pause. The standard communication, explaining that you are under emotional strain. I never told you I had seen one. You heard what Paige said yesterday. Paige never mentioned a written statement. Dana's breathing changed. Only slightly, but enough. You're playing word games. No. I'm asking how you know which document concerns me. This is exactly why you need to come home. Did you return Elise's letters? The question cut across her argument. She was not entitled to disrupt your life whenever guilt became inconvenient. That isn't what I asked. I did what Ruth and I agreed was necessary. Grandma's notes say she stopped believing you. The line went quiet. Dana recovered quickly. Your grandmother was confused during her final months. The note matches a letter sent 11 years ago. Then Elise has been coaching you. She gave me the letters. Grandma left the dates. You don't understand what that woman was like. Then send me the records that support what you told me. You think motherhood can be reduced to a stack of paper? You reduced mine to a fundraising script. Her breath came through the receiver, controlled and even. When you are ready to speak respectfully, call me. From now on, contact me in writing. Nora. The call ended beneath my thumb. A follow-up email documented the conversation, while every sentence remained fresh. It confirmed that I had not consented to the new campaign, had not authorized any statement about my mental health, and would not return the cached project until the board confirmed the raw files were preserved independently. The message went to Dana and Celia together. There would be no private version for Dana to rewrite later. A knock sounded at the motel door that afternoon. Through the peephole, Paige stood beneath the faded walkway, awning with a duffel bag at her feet. The security chain remained fastened when the door opened. Are you alone? I asked. Yes. Did Mom send you? She told me to bring your clothes. That wasn't my question. Paige shifted her weight. She knows I'm here. The chain stayed in place. What does she want? She wants you to stop treating her like an enemy. Then why didn't she come herself? Because you told her to put everything in writing. That means she heard me. Frustration tightened Paige's mouth. Can I please come inside? People are staring. 2 doors farther down, an elderly man struggled with a bag of ice without looking in our direction. Still, I removed the chain. Paige carried the duffel to the end of the bed and remained standing. The bag contained 4 shirts, jeans, underwear, toiletries, and the gray dress Dana had selected for the fundraiser. Not my laptop charger. Not my birth certificate. Not the medication in my bathroom drawer. Just enough to make me presentable if I returned on schedule. Paige noticed the dress at the same moment. I didn't pack that. Of course not. Mom probably thought you'd need it. She placed me on leave and removed my name from work tomorrow. She's scared. So am I. She built Safe Harbor around you. No, she built it around a version of me. Paige rubbed both hands over her arms. That version helped people. Does helping people make the lie acceptable? It wasn't all a lie. Elise was sick. She missed court. Mom raised you. Those things can be true while other things are also true. The unsigned release sat beside my laptop. Turning it toward Paige, I tapped the empty signature line. She told the production team I had approved the campaign. Maybe she assumed you would. Why was she entitled to assume that? Because you've always done it. The answer came without hesitation. Paige stared at the paper afterward, as if only then hearing herself. Exactly, I said. You never complained before. Complaining was treated as proof I wasn't grateful. You had opportunities because of Safe Harbor. So did you. Her expression sharpened. Leave me out of this. You're already in it. Your tuition came from Mom's speaking income. You used the organization's car all summer. The difference is that no donor ever had to watch you describe the worst day of your life before you were allowed to receive those things. That isn't fair. At 10 years old, I stood on stage and told strangers my birth mother had chosen drugs over me. You ate cake backstage. Which part is unfair? You always acted like you liked being on camera. I learned how to look comfortable because Mom made me repeat every answer that sounded wrong. Paige walked toward the window and pulled the curtain aside half an inch. People cared about you, she said. People paid to hear my story. Her hand dropped from the curtain. That's not what I meant. But it's what happened. A long moment passed before she turned around. The anger had not disappeared, but uncertainty now sat beside it. Mom says Elise is trying to take everything she built. Elise didn't find me. I found her number in Grandma's Bible. She could have planted it. Inside the lining? Maybe Grandma put it there because Elise manipulated her. That still means Mom lied when she said Elise disappeared. Paige picked up the image release and read the first page. Her eyes moved toward the campaign title. Mom said this was already completed. It isn't. She told the board you agreed last month. Ask her to show you where. The paper returned to the desk. Are you going to release Grandma's video? Not publicly. Why not? Because the original needs to be protected before Dana knows exactly what I have. Paige looked at the laptop. What statement did Mom mention on the phone? The question came so quietly that I nearly missed it. She said it doesn't diagnose me. That was before I said anything about a statement. There's a crisis folder in the gala packet. What is it called? I don't remember. Who has access? Mom gave me a printed copy of my speech. The rest was open on her tablet. Paige moved toward the door. Are you going to look for it? I asked. I'm going home. That wasn't my question. Her hand rested on the knob. I don't know what I'm going to do. Then don't do anything for me. She glanced over her shoulder. Just don't say something you know is false. The door closed behind her. No promise had been made. That mattered. A promise extracted under pressure would only repeat what Dana had done to both of us. Evening settled over the motel parking lot. Scans from Elise arrived in small groups, each showing the entire envelope beside the letter it had contained. She included hospital records, treatment dates, and a photograph of herself holding me beneath a green blanket at Street Catherine's. The picture stayed unopened after the thumbnail appeared. There would be time for faces later. Dates came first. A spreadsheet began to take shape. Letters, returned mail, addresses, Grandma's notes, and every public recording Dana had built from the opposite claim. Shortly after 9, a new email arrived from Paige. The subject contained only 2 words. Read this. Her message was brief. I found it in the event packet Mom made me rehearse. I forwarded the original email instead of taking screenshots. I haven't told her. The forwarded message had been sent by Dana to the communications director and Paige. Attached were 2 documents. The first was titled Contingency Statement, Nora Bennett. It read, Nora is currently experiencing emotional instability caused by renewed contact from an individual claiming to be her biological mother. Safe Harbor is supporting her privately while protecting her from further exploitation. The second document contained Paige's revised fundraiser speech. One section asked her to describe watching her sister become confused and volatile after outside interference. The final paragraph introduced Paige as the new youth outreach ambassador for the national campaign. A comment in the margin carried Dana's initials. If Nora refuses, Paige can carry the story. She is easier to steady. My hand tightened around the mouse. Paige had been the favored daughter because she never threatened Dana's public image. Now Dana was preparing to put her under the same lights. At the bottom of the contingency statement, another note appeared. Use only if Ruth materials remain unresolved and Bible is missing. The email timestamp read 10:12 in the morning on the day of the flood. For a moment, the numbers looked ordinary. Then their meaning settled into place. Dana sent the statement at 10:12. She abandoned me at the cemetery, around 3:40. Her grief video went online at 4:05. My emergency call began at 4:11. Elise's number was not dialed until 4:27. Dana had written that contact with my biological mother caused my instability more than 6 hours before that contact happened. The statement was not a reaction. It was a plan. A second notebook page became a timeline. Each event was matched to something independent. An email header, the rescue call history, the social media post, and my phone record. A screenshot went to Elise with one question. Did you contact me in any way before my call yesterday? Her answer came with a copy of her call log. No, I didn't have your number. Your call at 4:27 was our first contact. Both records matched. Paige called before I could respond. Did you read it? She asked. Yes. What does easier to steady mean? You need to ask Dana. She said the speech was about you getting through a difficult time. She didn't tell me I was replacing you. She wasn't choosing you over me. The words hurt, even though they were meant to free her. She was choosing whoever would repeat the script. Paige's breath shook. What are you going to do with the email? Preserve it. Then, send it to the board. What if Mom finds out I forwarded it? She probably will. You could hide my name. The email header already shows you received it. Hiding that would give her an opening to say I altered the record. So I lose her either way. No. Dana still decides how she responds. That choice belongs to her. You make everything sound simple. It isn't simple. It's just not yours to take responsibility for. A muffled voice sounded somewhere near Paige. A door closed. Do you need somewhere safe tonight? I asked. No. Mom thinks I'm studying in my room. Don't search for anything else. But there could be more. There probably is. Stop before she catches you accessing material you weren't assigned to use. Paige had provided the email because it had been sent directly to her. Asking her to dig through Dana's files would turn her into the investigator and place the risk on her. That was not a price I was willing to make her pay for me. Will you still give the speech? I asked. I don't know. Then remember what I asked earlier. You don't have to defend me. Just don't repeat something you know is false. After the call, the evidence packet for Celia took less than an hour to assemble. The first page showed the timeline. Behind it came the original forwarded email, the unsigned image release, the rescue call history, the social media timestamp, and Elise's matching call record. The video itself remained protected for now. Celia received a written description of the relevant section and an offer to present the unaltered preview privately. Her reply arrived near midnight. The board acknowledges receipt. The fundraising event will proceed because current service commitments depend upon it. The governance committee will review your materials immediately following the event. Please do not distribute organizational media publicly while the review is pending. Dana still had the stage. She still had 4 days of planned speeches, donor introductions, and carefully edited footage. The board was willing to examine my evidence after she finished using my face to secure the campaign. A second email followed from the event system. The updated program no longer included my name. In its place appeared a new segment. A sister speaks from the heart Paige Bennett. The following morning, Maya contacted me through her personal email. I can confirm the Ruth Bennett project was removed from the server after your preservation request was opened, but before the board activated the hold, the deletion event was recorded automatically. I have reported it through the internal incident process. I cannot send you private system logs, but the record now exists outside Dana's control. The local preview had become more valuable the moment Dana tried to destroy the original. Working from a duplicate, I prepared 3 short excerpts. Each included several seconds before and after the important exchange, along with the visible timecode. The first showed Dana's public claim that Elise never wrote. The second showed Grandma asking about letters found in Dana's desk. The third ended with Dana's own words. If Elise gets one conversation with Nora, everything I built becomes a lie. No dramatic music was added. No captions told the audience what to feel. Her voice did not need help. The original remained untouched. At the end of the day, another message went to Celia. Dana has removed me from the program while preparing to make a public statement about my mental health. If she uses the attached contingency statement, I request 5 minutes to respond with the original email timeline and the preserved footage described in my earlier submission. I will not disclose Elise's medical records or private letters publicly. Celia answered an hour later. If Dana makes the statement you attached, the board will need to hear how you obtained and verified it. Bring the original records. I cannot promise how the event will proceed. There was no guarantee of a microphone. No promise that security would let me stay. No assurance that anyone in the room would believe the young woman in a motel over the celebrated founder whose story they had funded for 2 decades. Still, Dana had made one mistake she could not edit away. She had written my breakdown before it happened. Now I had to walk into the room where she controlled every screen and make the time speak louder than she did. By the following afternoon, the mud on my coat had dried into dark stains along the hem. The gray dress Dana had sent remained folded across the motel chair. Wearing it would have made me look exactly as she had planned. Polished, grateful, and ready to stand beneath the Safe Harbor logo while she told strangers what my life meant. Instead, black pants and a plain white blouse went into the bathroom while the shower ran. The muddy coat stayed on the bed. 3 evidence packets covered the desk. One was labeled for the board. Another was addressed to the national campaign's lead sponsor. The third belonged to me. Each contained the email Dana had sent at 10:12 in the morning, the unsigned image release, the call records, the posting time of her grief video, and the 1-page timeline showing that her explanation for my instability had existed hours before I contacted Elise. The letters were not included. Neither were Elise's medical records. Those documents proved she had struggled and had tried to reach me, but displaying them before hundreds of strangers would replace one kind of exploitation with another. Dana had spent years treating private pain as public property. I would not defeat her by copying the method. A knock sounded at the door. Elise stood outside, holding a thick envelope. "You asked for the original scans and the letters that match the dates," she said. "Come in." Her attention moved from the evidence packets to the gray dress. "Is that what Dana wanted you to wear?" "Yes." "Are you going?" "Yes." The answer made her grip tighten around the envelope. "I could stand beside you." "No." "Nora, if she talks about me, she will. Then I should answer. This isn't about proving you would have been a good mother." The words hurt both of us. That did not make them unnecessary. "This is about proving you wrote," Dana knew, "and she prepared to discredit me before I found you. If we turn the gala into an argument over everything you did wrong 22 years ago, she wins." Elise placed the envelope on the desk. "What do you want me to do?" "Sit near the back. Don't come toward the stage unless I ask." Her face tightened, but she nodded. "If I ask you to stand, stand," I continued. "Until then, this is my story to tell." "All right. No interviews afterward. No photographs with me. No calling this a reunion." "All right." A person could agree to boundaries and still dislike them. Elise's disappointment remained visible, yet she did not turn it into a punishment. Before leaving, she paused beside Grandma's Bible. "Aren't you taking it?" "No." The Bible stayed inside my locked suitcase. Its water-damaged pages had given me the first question, but carrying it onto the stage would make it look like a prop. Grandma had already spent enough years inside Dana's version of events. The gala began at 7 inside the Marlowe Grand Hotel. An hour before the doors opened, Paige texted a photograph of the final program. Dana had added a new line beneath Paige's speech. "A daughter's plea for privacy." Another message followed. She changed it again. "She wants me to say, 'You're too unwell to recognize manipulation.'" My reply contained one sentence. "Meet me in the rear parking lot in 15 minutes. Paige arrived wearing a dark blue dress and carrying the speech in both hands. Her makeup had been applied more heavily than usual, and Dana's pearl earrings hung from her ears. "You kept the coat," she said when she saw me. "Yes. Mom says you're going to embarrass yourself." "She said that before or after giving you the new script?" Paige looked down at the pages. "She says the board will never let you speak." "That may be true. Then why come?" "Because if she lies about me while I'm sitting at home, the lie becomes the only statement in the room." Cars moved slowly past us toward the hotel entrance. Through the ballroom windows, technicians tested the stage lights, turning the glass blue and gold. "What do you want me to do?" Paige asked. "You don't have to defend me." Her eyes lifted. "You don't have to accuse Mom. Choose Elise, or give anyone a speech about what kind of person I am. Just don't repeat something you know is false. What happens if I refuse to go on stage? That depends on Dana. She'll throw me out. Maybe. Can I stay with you? The question carried more fear than the others. My motel room had one bed. My savings were disappearing. More importantly, bringing Paige into that room without a plan would place me in the same role Dana had assigned me for years. The older daughter who absorbed every crisis, so the younger one never had to face consequences. I'll help you call your roommate, I said. You told me she offered you her couch during finals. Paige stared at me. You won't let me stay? Not tonight. I thought you said none of this was my fault. It isn't, but I can be your sister without becoming your emergency parent. She folded the speech once, pressing the crease with her thumbnail. That sounds like something you practiced. It's something I should have said years ago. A few seconds passed before Paige took out her phone. Her roommate answered on the second attempt. Paige walked several feet away while they spoke. When she returned, some of the tension had left her shoulders. She said, I can come after the gala. Good. What are you going to show? Only what I can prove. Paige held out her speech. I don't need that, I said. You should see what she wrote. I already have the emailed version. Keep your copy. If anyone asks what you received, the paper needs to remain in your possession. The advice made her glance toward the hotel. You really thought through all of this. I've spent 22 years helping Dana prepare for rooms like that. For once, the skill would belong to me. The registration area glittered with gold banners and glass lanterns. Nearly 300 guests moved between cocktail tables, while a string quartet played near the ballroom doors. My childhood face appeared on every digital display. At 5, I was wrapped in Dana's coat beneath the words, Chosen love, changes, lives. At 10, I stood beside her at the first Safe Harbor luncheon. At 16, I was smiling in front of a row of donated backpacks after Dana made me retake the photograph because my first smile looked too tired. The woman at registration found my name in the original guest list. Her smile faded when she looked at a note on the screen. Miss Bennett, I need to speak with my supervisor. I was invited as the featured subject of the campaign, I said. My image is currently being displayed inside the ballroom. Yes, but there has been a program change. Celia approached before the supervisor arrived. A folder rested beneath her arm. Nora remains an invited guest, she said. The registrar removed her hand from the phone. Celia looked at my coat, then at the evidence case in my hand. Do you have the original email Paige forwarded? Yes. And the original device containing the local preview? It is secured. I brought a verified working copy and the file information. Dana has been informed that the board is reviewing a preservation issue. She has not been told exactly what footage you retained. That was my intention. Celia's expression gave away nothing. I cannot promise you the outcome. I didn't ask for one. Inside the ballroom, Elise sat near the back aisle exactly where we had agreed. She did not wave or approach. A few rows ahead, Paige occupied the chair reserved for the evening's final speaker. My seat was farther back than both of theirs. From there, the entire stage was visible. Dana entered beneath a wash of warm light. The room rose for her. Applause filled the ballroom while she crossed toward the podium wearing a white suit and Grandma's pearl brooch. She waited for the guests to sit, then rested both hands beside the microphone. 22 years ago, she began, a frightened baby came into my life after being abandoned by a mother trapped in addiction. The screen behind her displayed the green blanket from Elise's photograph, cropped so only my face remained. Dana spoke for several minutes about sacrifice, chosen motherhood, and the thousands of children who needed someone willing to stay. No one in the room knew the woman she described as having stayed had driven away while floodwater covered my shoes. The presentation moved into a video montage. My voice at 10 years old played through the speakers. My birth mother never wrote to me. But Mom says love is shown by the people who stay. Hearing the sentence in my childhood voice almost broke my concentration. Almost. The evidence case remained closed across my knees. My breathing slowed as each item inside returned to its place in the timeline. 10:12, 4:05, 4:11. 4:27. Time did not care how warmly Dana spoke. After the montage, she returned to the podium with one hand pressed over her chest. "Many of you expected Nora to join us tonight," she said. Unfortunately, grief left her vulnerable to renewed contact from an individual claiming to be her biological mother. The contingency statement appeared nearly word for word. Across the room, Celia straightened. "Nora is currently experiencing emotional instability," Dana continued. "Our priority is to protect her privacy while preventing further exploitation." Paige's name appeared on the screen. "A younger sister often sees pain that the rest of us miss," Dana said. "Paige has asked to share a few words." A spotlight found Paige. She remained seated. Dana's smile held, but her fingers tightened around the podium. "Paige?" The room waited. Paige looked back at me. No signal passed between us. None was needed. Her speech stayed folded in her lap. Dana leaned toward the microphone. "She's understandably emotional. I'm not." My voice came from the rear of the ballroom. Hundreds of heads turned. Rising from my chair, I placed the evidence case beneath one arm. "I'm here," I said. "And the statement you just read was written more than 6 hours before the contact you blamed for my condition." Dana's expression softened into public concern. "Nora, this is neither the time nor the place. You chose the time when you put my mental health on the screen." Celia stood at the board table. "Dana, Miss Bennett submitted a written request to respond if the contingency statement was used." "This is a private health matter," Dana said. "No," I replied. "It became a governance matter when you used it to justify a national campaign." The walk toward the stage felt longer than the flooded cemetery road. No one applauded. Phones rose. Others lowered theirs, perhaps realizing they were about to record something that did not belong to them. At the foot of the stage, Dana blocked the podium. "You are proving exactly what I warned them about," she whispered. "Then 5 minutes shouldn't frighten you." Celia asked the technician to connect my laptop to the ballroom screen. Dana stepped aside because refusing in front of the board would reveal more than allowing me to speak. The first slide contained no photographs, only 2 times. "Dana sent this statement at 10:12 in the morning," I said. "It claims contact from my biological mother caused an emotional crisis." The original email header appeared above Dana's name. The first call between Elise Bennett and me occurred at 4:27 that afternoon. My call history appeared beside Elise's matching record. More than 6 hours later, Dana reached for the second microphone. Contingency statements are written in advance. Every responsible organization prepares for possible disruptions. That explains preparing a general statement. It doesn't explain identifying a cause that had not happened. It was reasonable to anticipate Elise might contact you. Then why have you told donors for 22 years that she never tried? A murmur moved through the ballroom. Dana's voice remained steady. Ruth warned me that Elise might attempt to destabilize Nora after her death. The next page of the email appeared. The note at the bottom filled the screen. Use only if Ruth materials remain unresolved and Bible is missing. This statement was not prepared because Elise contacted me, I said. It was prepared because Grandma's Bible was missing from Dana's control. Dana turned toward the audience. Elise Bennett was medically and emotionally unfit to raise a child. She missed hearings, abandoned treatment, and struggled with alcohol. Nora has been given fragments without context. I'm not asking this room to decide whether Elise would have been a good mother. That stopped Dana's defense before it could spread. Her failures do not prove she never wrote. Her medical history does not explain why letters addressed to me were returned from safe harbor. And none of it explains why the statement about my instability existed before I knew she was alive. The first video clip began. Dana appeared in an interview recorded the previous year. Elise never called. She never wrote. She made her decision, and I made mine. The screen paused on the original timecode. The second clip showed Grandma in the blue chair after the official interview had supposedly ended. "You told me Elise stopped writing," Grandma said. "These letters were in your desk." Dana's voice answered from behind the camera. "You had no right. Nora does." The room in the recording became quiet. Then the final clip played. Grandma asked, "And if Nora ever talks to her?" Dana's answer came clearly through the ballroom speakers. If Elise gets one conversation with Nora, everything I built becomes a lie. The video ran several seconds longer, preserving the continuous time code and the empty room sound. When the screen went dark, no one moved. Dana lifted the microphone. That footage was stolen and manipulated by an employee retaliating against her suspension. The file was synchronized onto my assigned editing device while I still had authorized access. Its creation record and continuous timecode are in the board packet. You edited those clips. For length. The complete preview is secured and available for independent comparison. The server original was deleted through your account after my preservation request was opened. Celia turned toward Dana. The internal incident report confirms a deletion occurred during that period. Dana looked at Paige. You gave her the email. Paige stood, walked to the board table, and placed her folded speech beside Celia's folder. I received it from you, she said. I forwarded the original. Her voice trembled, but she did not make another speech. She sat beside me. Facing the ballroom again, I let the last prepared slide remain blank. My mother did not abandon me, I said. The woman who raised me abandoned the truth. No applause followed. That was better. Board members leaned toward one another. A sponsor representative closed the campaign folder in front of her. Several guests put their phones face down. Celia approached the microphone. The program is entering a recess. The board will meet immediately regarding the preservation of records and the accuracy of statements connected to tonight's campaign. Dana stepped toward her. You cannot suspend a national launch over a domestic disagreement. This is no longer being reviewed as a domestic disagreement, Celia said. It concerns consent, record deletion, and representations made to funding partners. The ballroom emptied slowly. Paige stayed beside me, while Elise remained near the rear wall, honoring the boundary, even after hearing herself attacked from the stage. Dana disappeared into a conference room with the board. 43 minutes later, Celia returned to the ballroom. A small group of guests remained, along with staff and sponsor representatives. Effective immediately, she announced. Dana Bennett is suspended from operational authority pending an independent review. Her access to organizational records, donor communications, and media archives has been disabled. Interim leadership will maintain all active services. The lead sponsor placed the new campaign grant on hold until the review was completed. Safe Harbor did not disappear. The people relying on its programs did not lose their assistance that night. Only Dana lost the power to speak for everyone. A staff member approached her near the conference room and requested her access badge. Dana removed it from her jacket and set it in his hand. For the first time in my life, she stood inside a Safe Harbor event without the authority to tell anyone where to sit, what to say, or which version of the past belonged on the screen. The ballroom had nearly emptied when she found me in the hallway. Paige was several feet away, texting her roommate. Elise had already left through another exit at my request. Dana stopped close enough for me to smell Grandma's perfume on her coat. You humiliated me in front of everything I built. You announced that I was mentally unstable in front of the same room. I gave you a life. You gave me a home. That never gave you ownership of the truth. Her face tightened. You think Elise will replace me? No one is replacing anyone. She will disappoint you. Maybe. The answer seemed to unsettle her more than denial would have. Elise can disappoint me, and I can still decide what contact she has with me. That choice belongs to me now. Dana glanced toward Paige. You turned your sister against me. You wrote her replacement speech. She is 19. She doesn't understand the consequences. Neither did I when you first put me on stage. This organization paid for your education, your training, your travel. My work paid for part of that. My face paid for the rest. You would be nobody without me. The old sentence found the place it had always been designed to wound. This time, it did not decide my answer. You made a story, I said. I survived it. Dana's eyes moved toward my muddy coat. For a moment, the cemetery stood between us. Then she changed targets. Ruth created this mess by hiding that book. No, Grandma helped create it by believing you, then waited too long to correct herself. Elise filled her head with guilt. The dates are Grandma's. The letters are Elise's. The deletion request is yours. Her attention shifted again. Paige stole confidential material. You sent the email directly to her. Each escape closed because Dana had documented too much, approved too much, and trusted her own control too completely. Paige joined us with her purse over one shoulder. My roommate is outside, she said. Dana reached toward her. You're coming home with me. Paige stepped back. No. One word. Nothing dramatic. Dana looked from Paige to me, as though waiting for the older pattern to return, for me to apologize, negotiate, and carry everyone home. That version of me remained on the ballroom screens. The person standing in the hallway picked up the evidence case and walked away. Outside, Paige's roommate waited beside an older sedan. Paige placed her bag in the back seat, then turned toward me. Will you call tomorrow? Yes. You're not going to disappear? I'm setting boundaries, Paige. I'm not abandoning you. She nodded, although trust would take longer than one sentence. After the sedan left, my phone vibrated. A message from Maya appeared. The deletion record has been preserved. There is something else. I found 3 earlier deletion requests with the same reason Dana used for your file. Subject became unstable after outside contact. A second message arrived. Nora, I don't think yours is the only story she changed. Maya's message stayed on my screen long after the parking lot had emptied. Nora, I don't think yours is the only story she changed. 3 deletion requests sat beneath mine, each carrying the same explanation. Subject became unstable after outside contact. My thumb hovered over the call button. Every instinct trained into me by Safe Harbor said to open the archive, find the names, and learn everything before someone else erased it. That was how Dana operated. She called possession protection and intrusion concern. I typed instead, don't open any private files. Preserve the logs exactly as they are and notify Celia. Let the investigation team contact the people involved. Maya replied less than a minute later. Already preserving them. Thank you for saying that. The decision cost me speed, but it gave Dana one less way to claim I had invaded the lives of people whose stories had already been taken from them. By Monday morning, the gala ballroom had been stripped of its blue banners and childhood photographs. Dana's face was gone from Safe Harbor's website. A short notice said she had been suspended, pending an independent review. It did not mention me, Elise, the Bible, or the statement written at 10:12 in the morning. My name remained on old donation pages. My face remained in archived videos. Suspension had stopped Dana from reaching the controls. It had not removed me from the machine. The first investigation meeting took place in the small conference room behind Maya's archive office. Celia sat at the head of the table with 2 outside reviewers. Maya connected her laptop to the wall monitor, but kept the private folders closed. Only the incident index appeared. 3 codes matched deletion requests from the previous 4 years. Beside them were names I recognized from projects I had edited. Each record carried one of 3 labels: cooperative, difficult, or retired story. The last name tightened something behind my ribs. Lena Brooks. 3 years earlier, I had cut a 40-minute interview with Lena into a 4-minute fundraising video. She had spoken about aging out of foster care, working 2 jobs, and finishing nursing school. Dana had insisted the ending remain on Lena's line about learning that no one was coming back for her. Another section had been removed before the footage reached me. Has anyone contacted these people? I asked. One has an outdated address, Celia said. The reviewers are preparing formal notices. Lena has a public work email. My hands remained folded over the damp-stained cover of Ruth's Bible. She gave it to me when we worked on her video. I can ask whether she wants to speak with you, but I won't ask her for evidence or tell her what the archive says. One of the reviewers nodded. Keep the message neutral. Let her choose. The email took 6 drafts. Lena, I recently learned that parts of my own history were presented inaccurately by Safe Harbor. Your name appeared on a list of archived projects under review. I have not opened your file. The review team would like to contact you, but I wanted you to hear from someone you know first. You do not owe me or the organization a response. Her answer arrived before the meeting ended. Did they call you unstable too? Attached beneath the question was an email Dana had sent Lena 3 years earlier. One sentence might have been copied from the statement read about me at the gala. Recent contact with individuals connected to Lena's biological past has caused emotional instability and made her vulnerable to outside influence. The date matched one of the deletion requests. Dana had not invented that language for me. She had practiced it on Lena. Lena came to the next meeting, carrying a paper folder and her old phone. She did not hug me. Neither of us needed to perform closeness to make what happened believable. My father found me after the first campaign video, she said. He had been looking for years. He was in prison when I entered care, and nobody updated him when I was moved. She slid a printed email across the table. Dana had asked Lena not to discuss the reunion until Safe Harbor could assess its emotional impact. I told her I wanted the video taken down, Lena continued. She said removing it would jeopardize a scholarship fund. Then a sponsor called to ask whether I was safe from the man manipulating me. Did your father manipulate you? I asked. No. Lena unlocked her phone and opened a photograph of herself sitting beside an older man at a diner. He disappointed me in plenty of ordinary ways. He was late. He made excuses. He wanted forgiveness faster than I could give it. But he came back. Safe Harbor kept using me, saying no one ever had. The investigators found a note in the project history describing the reunion footage as inconsistent with campaign continuity. Dana's account had approved the edit. 2 other former participants chose not to attend. Their written statements were shared with permission. One had asked Safe Harbor to stop using photographs of her child. A donor notice later described her as confused after pressure from an estranged relative. The other had questioned a quote attributed to him and was placed under retired story within 24 hours. Maya displayed the revision history for the notices. The first template had been created from Dana's account. Later versions changed names, relatives, and circumstances, but the structure stayed the same. Outside contact. Emotional instability. Temporary withdrawal. Concern for the subject's well-being. They made control sound like care, Lena said. Across the Ford sounded. My reflection floated faintly over the monitor. For years, that language had sounded responsible to me. I had placed it over soft music, chosen photographs, and trimmed pauses until discomfort looked like gratitude. No one in the room accused me. That almost made it harder. How many videos did I help edit? I asked Maya. More than 80. The number landed without drama. 80 projects did not mean 80 altered stories, and guilt could not be allowed to invent facts any more than Dana could. Still, my work had helped build the voice people trusted. I want every featured adult notified, I said. Not just the 3 connected to deletion requests. They should be told what material is still in use and given a real way to review it. Celia looked toward the investigators. That will require time and money. Then use the money from the Frozen National Campaign. No one answered immediately. That afternoon, Dana submitted a written explanation. Celia forwarded it because my work and conduct were mentioned. According to Dana, communication staff had created internal labels for efficiency. Archive employees had deleted redundant material without her knowledge. Her only concern had been protecting vulnerable people from impulsive decisions during stressful reunions. At the bottom, she described my accusations as understandable reactions to newly discovered information. Even suspended, she was trying to turn my evidence into a symptom. The special board meeting took place 3 weeks after the gala. My old access badge no longer opened the front door, so Celia met me in the lobby. Dana was already in the conference room. She wore the navy suit from the organization's first national television interview. For one dangerous second, the sight of her awakened the part of me that knew how to read her posture, bring her water, and fix whatever might embarrass her. Then her eyes moved to the Bible in my hands. The old reflex broke. Celia invited me to speak first. No stage waited behind me. No crowd expected a dramatic line. Around the table sat 9 board members with printed reports, marked pages, and questions. My statement is limited to what I witnessed and what I can verify, I began. I described the script beside Ruth's grave, Dana leaving during the flood warning, the number beneath the Bible lining, Elise's letters, the unsigned release, the cached interview, and the statement created before my first contact with Elise. Then I explained how Dana requested deletion after receiving the preservation notice. No claim went beyond the record. When my turn ended, Dana placed both hands on the table. I made difficult decisions under pressure, she said. My responsibility was to protect the people we served and the donors who kept our programs alive. Content and archive decisions were handled by staff with specialized responsibilities. Maya opened the revision history. The template for emotional instability notices had been created by Dana's account. 2 months later, the same account added the category, difficult. Dana's login changed one participant to retired story after that person withdrew image consent. Her electronic approval appeared on all 3 earlier deletion orders. Dana leaned closer to the screen. Multiple senior employees had delegated access to my account. Maya changed the display. Each approval included a confirmation from Dana's registered phone. Her need to control every word had left her name on every version. Celia turned to me. What outcome are you requesting? The question had kept me awake for most of the previous night. Asking for Dana to suffer would have been easy. Asking for a structure she could no longer manipulate required more precision. Safe Harbor should issue a public correction about my story, using my name only in language I approve. Every person whose image or history remains in active materials should receive notice. Consent for current campaigns must be specific and revocable. And Dana should have no access to the archive, donor communications, or any role that allows her to represent the organization. Are you asking us to close Safe Harbor? A board member asked. No. People still depend on its services. Keeping those services alive does not require keeping Dana in power. Dana looked directly at me. You would destroy 22 years of work over decisions you do not yet understand. Those years are exactly why the decisions need to be understood. The board asked both of us to leave while it deliberated. Dana walked past me in the hallway without speaking. The scent of her perfume brought back school mornings, fundraising dinners, and the night she sat beside my bed after I had pneumonia. None of those memories disappeared because she had lied. That was part of the price. Losing a false mother would have been simpler than accepting that the woman who cared for me had also used me. 48 minutes later, the doors opened. Celia read the decision from a single page. Dana had been removed as chief executive. Her honorary founder role was terminated. All access to records, donors, subjects, media accounts, and public representation was revoked. The independent archive review would continue, and a correction process would begin within 10 business days. Safe Harbor would remain open under interim leadership. Dana kept whatever private savings and property belonged to her. No miracle reduced her to nothing. She simply no longer possessed the title, salary, stage, or database that had allowed her to decide which truths counted. After the board members left, Celia handed me a white envelope. Dana asked that you receive this. Across the front, in handwriting I had seen on birthday cards my entire life, were 4 words. From your mother. The letter began with an apology that never named what she had done. I am sorry I loved you too fiercely. Dana wrote that fear had guided her. She had protected me when no one else could. She admitted that some choices looked wrong, without the context of motherhood, and asked for one private meeting before the board announced her removal. A brass key had been taped beneath the final paragraph. My room was waiting. I could return without paying rent. We could speak where cameras, investigators, and Elise could not influence me. For several minutes, the key rested in my palm. It still fit the house where Ruth had taught me to bake biscuits, where Paige and I had marked our heights inside a closet door, and where Dana had sat awake beside me through that fever. Returning it meant admitting that home had been real to me, even when its conditions were hidden. The next morning, I placed the key in a padded envelope and sent it by certified mail. My reply contained 2 sentences. Future communication must be in writing through the designated mailbox. Housing is not consent. Paige met me at a coffee shop 2 days later. She had been sleeping on her roommate Kara's couch since the gala and stirring one drink long after the ice had melted. Kara's lease ends next month, she said. Could I stay with you for a while? My sublet had one bedroom, a narrow couch, and a lock Dana had never touched. Letting Paige move in would prove I was more generous. It would also make me responsible for rescuing her from the consequences of a household neither of us had created. You can't move in with me, I said. Her spoon stopped. But I'll help you look at campus housing and job listings. We can make a budget tonight if you want. You have a couch. And I want the chance to be your sister without becoming your emergency parent. Paige stared into her glass. Mom would say that's selfish. She probably would. A strained laugh escaped her. I used to think she loved you more. The confession caught me off guard, though I kept my face steady. You were everywhere, Paige continued. On the website, at dinners, in speeches. When people met me, they asked if I was Nora's sister. I thought being the face meant you were the favorite. I thought being allowed a private life meant you were. Neither belief excused the ways we had resented each other. Neither vanished because we finally named it. That evening, we made a budget. Paige applied for a desk job at the campus library and added her name to an emergency housing list. She did the applications herself. My role ended at reading her resume and refusing to pay a deposit I could not afford. A week later, Celia invited me back to Safe Harbor. The board wanted to offer me a salaried position as its new national ambassador. The benefits were better than anything available through freelance work. The salary would cover an apartment, health insurance, and enough savings to stop checking my bank balance before buying groceries. You would have authority over how stories are presented, Celia said. Your presence would also show the public that we are changing. There it was again, my face as proof. This version came with respect, a title, and the power to approve my own words. That made it far more tempting than Dana's demand. What budget did you set aside for the position? I asked. Celia told me. Use it to hire an independent consent specialist, pay featured adults for the time it takes them to review their archived material. Build a withdrawal process that doesn't require them to prove they're stable. You could oversee that work. No. I can recommend what needs to change, but I won't become the new symbol that makes everyone comfortable. Declining the offer meant returning to my sublet and a stack of freelance applications. It also meant my value would no longer depend on being the abandoned girl, the rescued girl, or even the girl who exposed the lie. 6 months later, my apartment was still small enough that the kitchen table doubled as an editing desk. Most of my work came from community history projects. I restored recorded interviews, organized photographs, and left pauses intact when they belonged to the person speaking. Safe Harbor's public correction remained saved on my laptop. It acknowledged that its founding account of my childhood contained false claims, that Elise had attempted contact, and that I had not approved the latest campaign. Similar notices had gone to other participants. Lena's old video had been removed at her request. Dana had not contacted me again. On Sundays, Elise and I met for 1 hour. Sometimes we talked about records and missing years. More often, we discussed ordinary things. The bread she always burned, the music I hated editing, the way both of us folded napkins into tight rectangles without noticing. Once, she introduced me to a waitress by saying, "This is my..." She stopped. "Nora," she finished. That pause mattered more than a grand apology. She wanted a word I was not ready to give her, and she allowed my boundary to remain. Near the end of summer, I asked whether she wanted to visit Ruth's grave. "Yes," Elise said. "I'm driving myself. Meet me there, and wait by the path until I ask you to come closer." A flicker crossed her face, but she nodded. "I can do that." Rain had passed over the cemetery an hour before I arrived. Drops clung to the grass, and shallow water filled the tire marks beside the road. Nothing resembled the brown current that had climbed around my ankles 6 months earlier. My car stopped in the same gravel turnout where Dana had left me. This time the keys stayed in my hand. Elise stood beneath an oak near the path. She did not follow when I walked toward Ruth's grave. The Bible felt heavier than its size. A conservator had dried and stabilized the pages, but the cover still carried pale water stains. The lining never lay completely flat again. Beneath it, Ruth's handwriting remained visible. Ask her why she never stopped writing. Standing before the headstone, I opened to the final margin note. She didn't stop. I stopped believing her. You chose stability over the truth, I said. You let me grow up inside a lie because admitting you were wrong would have cost you too much. Wind shifted the damp leaves above me. I'm not ready to forgive you for that. The words did not summon peace. They did not need to. But you left me a door, late, hidden, and after you were gone, but you left it. Behind me, Elise remained at the path. She could have claimed the place beside me. Biology had given her a connection, not permission. Instead, she waited exactly where I had asked her to wait. When I turned, our eyes met. Then I nodded. Elise approached and stopped beside me, leaving a few inches between our coats. Neither of us reached for the other. We stood before Ruth's grave as two women carrying different pieces of the same history, with no promise that one afternoon could repair it. Before leaving, I closed the Bible and held it against my chest. It contained Ruth's failure, Dana's fear, Elise's persistence, and the first choice I had made, without asking who would still love me afterward. Leaving it at the grave would have made the book a tribute. Taking it with me made it evidence, inheritance, and warning. The passenger door opened with a soft click. I placed the Bible on the seat beside me, started the engine, and drove toward the cemetery gate before the rain returned. Dana had left me beside a grave, because she thought home was the place where I repeated her story. 6 months later, I drove away knowing home was anywhere the truth no longer cost me my place at the table.